Maybe that's something to consider though. Like it's just you turn into like a wrestling, like a soap opera storyline
Last
of
week
like
on the
casually
Beanbag
mention
Boys.
something and then 3 weeks later they show up in frame and start a big fight. And then we just never talk about it again for like another 2 weeks.
We got to figure out like cliffhangers. And welcome everybody. My name is Keith,
And I'm Chris.
and we're the Beanbag Boys.
What are we talking about? We're talking about what's the plan? The content, TikTok and YouTube, difference in audiences, set design, our goals for the future. We got a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
I think it'll be a good one. A little behind the scenes, but we gotta step this up. We're trying to talk about how we're gonna do that.
I think some of the set design stuff like well, right now we have a dog, which is great, but behind us we don't have a whole lot going on, and kind of the ideas of what we could think about. I think kind of on your point of like, we got to start numbering these. I think editing thumbnails and stuff like that pretty big, and I think we could.
Also, yeah,
I think throwing
crucial.
the number in a thumbnail is a very easy way to unofficially kind of do it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, £5.
What kind of stuff could we put on the set? We used to have the TV back there.
I think plants would be nice. Something
Plants would
green.
actually be really nice.
I think honestly,
Yeah,
it would kind of
true.
because like this is a pretty living room. It's nice, but it's a lot of neutral colors. I think something like a little bit of like just a plant, something green, something kind of pretty in the center.
Yeah,
It'd be kind of nice. You know, something doesn't have to be crazy.
I think green would be good and give us a little more color and stuff like that.
Yeah,
too.
yeah, 100%. I think just a
Color
little bit of
variation.
variety, a little bit of something pretty.
I know. I think one of the original comments I saw was like curtains. Maybe
Curtains,
we even get
yeah,
like some kind of
curtains would
curtains.
be good. But curtain, I mean, yeah, that'd be nice. But I think the blinds look okay. Yeah, I didn't realize like, I think since we've been doing this now for over a month and a half, I as I've watched some of these things, I've noticed a lot more like there are lights in the background or there's like stuff that I never really considered previously. That now I'm like, oh yeah, no, it's clearly somebody like intentionally designed this such that it was kind of engaging just to look at in general.
Yeah.
You know, there's always something to kind of like wander to, and you're like, oh, I wonder what the idea or the history is behind like that poster or why that light or whatever. Some of it's just branding stuff, but also I think some of it's just kind of like just shit that pops up over time as you do it. I think it's kind of interesting.
I think there's like an entire industry behind that stuff. I think there are legit
Yeah.
podcast set designers, especially
No
nowadays.
question.
It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that is their job, is to come in
Yeah,
and
where there's
just
money to be
literally
made.
design
Yeah.
an entire podcast set. So
And neither of us are even front end devs. So
yeah, no, yeah, which
Design
maybe
is
makes
not our
sense as
first
to where
thing.
the set is right now.
Yeah,
It's-
right.
it-
I don't know. It works. It's
Yeah.
utility.
We got things recording, so it's posted online. What more do you want?
We're function over form guys. That's for sure.
I think you mentioned one of the big things that we've talked about behind the scenes a little bit more is like lighting and trying to get that worked out. And right now we have ceiling lights, which is something. But
It works. I mean,
it does work.
Yeah.
It does work. But yeah, like we need to figure out like I think there's like floodlights. You can also have like there's so many different kinds of lights.
Oh my,
it feels
yeah,
like with
like
setting.
light diffusers and people.
yeah,
Like, you could do it really
diffusers
easy
and-
with these materials. I'm like, I don't know what you're doing with it though. I don't get it.
I think that'll help a lot with the image and kind of pulling out those stuff, but
Yeah.
also having the greenery would help. Once
Yeah,
we
I
get
think
the
having
lighting
some
in and we
different
get a
color,
little bit
yeah.
of different colors, that's smart. So I think greenery is smart. I've seen some podcasts with like they throw books up and stuff like that. So I mean, I
Maybe
have
that's
some
smart.
books.
Yeah.
I don't know that they're the best for set, but it could be interesting to maybe find a book or two. I don't know.
I think as we hone in on like some more detailed topics or things. I mean, like I'd feel like we talked about gaming enough at this point.
Yep.
Maybe something gaming related. Get you like a big old RuneScape dude. Maybe actually that'd be kind of cool. Honestly, we could like make a clay sculpture of like your RuneScape character.
We
So
could,
that'd
yeah.
be kind of dope, honestly.
Yeah, we could.
And then just gear him out and just set him up. I don't know. Just something. I think something that's like a little more personal or specific to us, but also just some colors, something there that kind of like adds to it. Maybe would be interesting.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I don't know much about set design, so I'm probably missing a whole lot of nuance that I've never even considered.
I'd be
But
curious if we would want something like static or even maybe like something that matches the tune of the episode,
Oh.
right? Like if we have an idea for, okay, cool, this is what we plan on talking about or something, we add something more gaming related. I know a couple episodes ago we talked about like the PlayStation, and I could have pulled my PlayStation out and thrown
No,
it in the
true.
background.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
I have like an old original Xbox that we could throw in the background and stuff like that.
That stuff would be pretty cool.
So that some of that stuff could be cool.
some
With,
shelves or something we could like
Um,
set, like just post that
true.
stuff up. That'd be kind of cool.
yeah.
Probably have to like shift around the set a little bit because
Yeah.
unless you want to put shelves in your windows, but still, I mean, I think either way, That'd be kind of interesting for sure.
Maybe we even start adding stuff like we talked about the PlayStation, and then in the next episode, the little PlayStation, it's like little Easter eggs from previous episodes.
Yeah, that'd be
and
kinda
it's like,
cute
cool,
too, yeah.
these are kind of things, and as we go, each episode, it'll just slowly build out the set more and more.
progressively, and then eventually we have such a cluttered nonsense. We're like,
Yeah.
what are we getting rid of next?
That could be a cool little topic point, though, right? It'd
Yeah.
be like, oh, people are studying to try to figure out what is missing now. Like,
That's
it's like
true.
a
That'd
Where's
be kinda
Waldo.
funny. Yeah, that would be. That'd be like the whole focus. That'd be fun. I don't know. I mean, I think all of that stuff would be very interesting. There's a lot that we can do with it. Of course, this is like very utilitarian at the moment, but like that's fine. Like I don't think it's a problem inherently. It's just a matter of like as we keep doing it, maybe we just make it better.
Yep.
Which is cool. And to that point too, like this webcam,
Oh
it's
my
doing
gosh.
its best. It's doing its best, but
It's doing something for
it's
sure.
doing something.
It's
Yeah,
doing
it's doing
something.
something to us, man. It's hard to look at us in these things.
Yeah,
I'm like,
a little more clarity for viewers. This is coming out of a 1080p Logitech webcam, so
yeah, this webcam
it's working.
It works. Yeah, if this were a Zoom call, we'd have no
Oh yeah,
problems.
exactly. But I think that's one of the other big upgrades that would be interesting to get into is getting an actual camera. We've talked about like
Yeah.
a tripod, and right now setting it up, I'm like setting it up with a little bubble level on top of the webcam every
Yeah.
time, and doing some of that stuff would be much easier for setup, I think, if we had an official camera, an official lens that maybe kind of splits up the focal point and stuff like
Absolutely,
that
yeah.
a little bit better. So
We gotta invest in our hobbies. But I think it's so easy. Like, I don't know how much you do it, but I definitely have an issue of like, this is really fun. I'll go spend $8,000 on
Oh my
it now.
gosh.
Or, I mean, just like an absurd, just stupid amount of money. I'm like, yeah, I really do I think playing the guitar would be cool, but I need the best guitar and the best amp.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I fucking don't. Like, I don't,
Yeah.
I probably won't even commit to it. Who knows? So I think I've had to, over time, learn to slow my roll a lot, which is why we're like episode 5, 6, including episode 0. And it's like, why are we still using the webcam? It's because we're trying to be careful. Like,
and that's something I've been like, for a long time, I've wanted to get into cameras. And so I have a little bit of knowledge, very
Yeah.
base level of like photography and that kind of stuff. So it's something that I've been interested in a long time. And I've been now like, I'm like, okay, well, outside of the podcast, even like, what could I use this camera for? I'm like trying
yeah.
to find uses for the camera,
Yeah.
or like, what could I film and stuff like that. So hopefully as I come up with more of those things, I'll convince myself a little bit quicker, sooner rather than later, that a big camera purchase could be nice, because come to find out, you start looking at camera purchases, you don't want to spend $500 on a camera. You have to
No.
spend
God,
multiple thousands, and you have to make that $8,000 jump like very quick.
they're
which is-
so
It's
expensive.
crazy. So
That's like a full thing. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how much of it makes sense to be like, let me get like a camera and then all the accessories are like a reasonable improvement afterwards. But it's like everything's a platform anymore,
yeah,
and it's so tough. Like you said, like, having like even your base level of knowledge is well beyond what I've never looked into them before. I can just imagine this stuff is so expensive, and everyone's, especially at this point now where you're like, podcasts and more static content like this versus like filming versus photography. Like I'm sure there's like machinery dedicated to and like that's caters itself to each different field or each different like type of photography. And it's like, how do you know which one you're gonna buy? And is it like a huge mistake? I
yeah.
don't fucking know. Like we don't want to spend $700 on something and be like, this is perfect, and then in 6 months we're like, we hate it. It doesn't do what we want. This is terrible.
It's definitely a big commitment. It's something that we'll have to do a little bit of research on for sure, but I think it's an interesting, it's fun to do and make those
It
small
is.
upgrades and be like, all right, cool. Now we know what lighting we're going to get, and we know what cameras we're going to do and that kind of stuff, and slowly inch through it. So
Yeah, I think there's always that nagging feeling that like perfect is the enemy of good, but at the same time, I don't want to waste all my money on something dumb because I'm like, well, yeah, it's good, I guess.
yeah.
Like, I mean, it's obviously we're not making anything on this. This is just fun to do. We're just making it to make it. But still, it's like, that doesn't mean I want it to look bad.
Yeah.
If this is going to be people like, oh, yeah, this is the thing Chris did, and then somebody pulls it up and we're like, why is he so fucking fuzzy and weird looking?
And there's lots of, like, despite not spending money on it, we're spending lots of time. And I mean,
Yeah,
it's,
no,
it's
that's
not
true.
like,
Yeah, no, you're right. Absolutely.
not like
I mean, it's worth
even-
investing in, for
yeah,
sure.
exactly. So it's like, if we're going to be spending all this time and kind of planning and editing and doing all of this extra work, it would be nice to have a good product come out of it.
Absolutely.
Feel
Yeah.
proud of.
And I think that's the thing. I want to feel proud of, not that I don't. I mean, I enjoy what we're doing here, but I feel like for the most part up to this point, it's been like, yeah, I mean, it doesn't look great, but I had a lot of fun, and I feel like there's some pretty interesting stuff that came out of it, and, you know, it's kind of, you know, shifted the way I look at a lot of things, and I think that's been a great takeaway up to this point, but I do want to also be like, I'm learning from it, and we're improving our craft, and things are getting better.
Yeah.
And visually to see that, even like as the end result, not just from like we improved our processes or our procedures or our approach to things, but, you know. No, but I mean, it's been fun. It's been cool. It's been a lot of fun to invest the time into it, and I think, like you said, it's been long enough now that like we've got kind of a routine, you know, week to week. We're like, this is what we're doing. This is what we're talking about. This is, you know, kind of where we're going with it. And I think that proves enough that it's like, yeah, we're committed enough to this. Let's start investing more. So,
Yeah.
and which is, I mean, that's the topic of discussion for today is like kind of what we've been thinking about, what we've been seeing, what we've noticed, what you know, what our whole thing is. And if you got any opinions,
Oh, please.
Mr. or Miss or MX listener, please.
Please throw them in the comments.
And if you got any insight,
Oh,
please toss it in
would
there.
love it.
It would be great because I am completely ignorant. Keith knows way more than I do.
and
I haven't done
I
very
am
much
completely
research.
ignorant. So
Well, then I'm worse.
if that tells you where we're at,
I mean, you're looking at where we're at. I think we'll get there for sure. I think it's also nice too to have like I think it's where the episode 0 is so important because it's like in like the very, very beginning to like even now. I think we've stepped it up a little bit for sure. Audio's much better. You adjusted the white balance a couple of episodes ago. I think it made a big difference. We've adjusted some things, but it's like I think there are going to be clear like arcs or tiers of like, oh yeah, it definitely like here is where like a big jump happened, and that's like, you know, kind of want to be able to point back to that and be like, it did get way better.
yeah, I was thinking about that earlier. Like maybe even we split up into like, oh, this is season 1, and then as we like once we get a new camera, we get lighting, we get kind of set design figured out a little bit better, then we transition into season 2, or maybe even like camera lighting, that's season 2, and then now we have a set design that we're happy with and we're here, and it's like now we're season 3, and so then at least we could like point people back and we're like, oh yeah, like season 1 was the pilot season.
Yeah, it was the bad camera era. Yeah. No, absolutely. No, I think that makes sense for sure. I mean, I think that would suggest a narrative throughput or something. Not that we have one.
It's the production throughput, and it's that that steps through. I mean, I don't know how much TV and stuff. I'm not a big TV person, but there's certain episodes and series that I've been into. Like if you watch The Office, you're a millennial, I'm sure you have. Season 1 of The Office is like drastically different production wise than season 2.
That's true.
Where it's like you can definitely tell between season 1 and season 2, where it's like, oh, now they have funding and like they've actually worked on stuff and they've like,
they figured
this
it
is
out
a real
more.
show now.
Yeah, they have like different writers and yeah. No, that makes sense.
I think there's a little bit there. A narrative would be interesting, I guess.
I'm not sure how we do that. Maybe that's something to consider though. Like it's just you turn into like a wrestling, like a soap opera storyline
Last
of
week
like
on
casually
Beanbag
mention
Boys.
something and then 3 weeks later they show up in frame and start a big fight, and then we just never talk about it again for like another 2 weeks.
We got to figure out like cliffhangers and
Oh my god,
we
that
gotta
would
do
be
a
pretty
little bit more
fun. I don't know.
writing on
That's
that, I guess, but
that's a whole level of production and writing and stuff that we haven't even dreamed of. But I think that would be kind of funny.
could be, yeah.
I just like a little random tidbits. I don't know, but
Maybe we throw a couple episodes in where like, all right, episode 9, that's the narrative episode, and we like actually start story, and then like episode 17, we continue from episode 9.
It comes back.
It's like
just, you never know when it's
out
gonna
of
happen.
nowhere. It just,
Whenever we feel like having it written now, it's suddenly something crazy happens.
Yeah, that could be cool. I think it could be interesting. Also, I mean, maybe this could actually allow us to do more narrative stuff. Is different kinds of content and different even medias and stuff like that. Like you've been talking a lot about TikTok and I think like your sister's TikTok and all that stuff. Maybe even us introducing our own TikTok and kind of going on that route. And that might allow us to do more narrative stuff and allow
That would
us
be
to
interesting.
do more.
Like what is it? You Suck at Cooking? I think that YouTube channel where like he's just, I mean, half of it's parody, but it's also like he'll make like actual real music or real like food recipes. But then sometimes they'll have. I'd have to find them because I'm sure you have no idea. Have you ever seen?
I've never
any?
seen.
Okay.
I've no. I'm going. I'm flying blind here.
As an example, there's some like he's just like a it's pretty funny, and they're very short little videos where they'll have like music or something kind of interspliced in between that's like relevant to whatever he's making, like pierogies or whatever. But he'll also make things with like eggs, and there's like a hard-boiled egg detective, and it'll just like cut randomly to like a completely unrelated story of like a little egg detective in his little egg. Like, it's all like scales made to set, and like all the eggs have like little faces drawn on them, and he's like, "Detective, what do you think?" And the egg like slowly turns around, and he's like, "It's murder." It's just like it's a whole, but there's like an overarching story. Like, if you watch, I don't know how many videos they have out now, they're hilarious, but if you watch them, like, you never know what's gonna happen. He's just like, "Yeah, today we're making, I don't know, fucking salad," and then like he's like, "And we gotta get our eggs," and it's just it's just like a really dark noir, like there's just eggs talking to each other, like a hard-boiled egg detective. It's so dumb, but it's hilarious. I mean, it's just that sort of thing takes like a ton of, I mean, like, obviously like skills for one that we've never really developed, but it would be fun, I think, to throw something like that. And they're just like, just because, just a random little story as you feel like writing it out. I don't know. It's just kind of fun to do, to kind of flex that creative spirit in a way that, like, at least I've never done, but it always, I don't know, it always, I find it entertaining just to see like, what do you come up with today?
So you think we do that in the podcast episode? You think we do that in different content? Because that could be interesting.
I think probably different content. I mean,
it could be interesting to throw it in the podcast.
It could be. It could be. Yeah.
It could keep people interested. They're like, I want to know when this random,
when's it happening?
When's it going to happen?
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
So.
Yeah. I think. I mean,
it could be.
It could be
you
a lot
have
of stuff.
ideas.
I think as we kind of piece it out, maybe just be something fun to just kind of toss in there every now and then. You know, nothing. I think my main goal with anything is like, do I find it entertaining to create and to watch, and don't take it too seriously, because like I don't need to, and that stresses me out. Like, I get so wrapped up with like, no, it has to be good. It has to be good. I think it's one thing too that I've learned, you know, personally, not even just like in a technical sense, but like personally, I've been like, I really got to let go of the fact that like I'm not used to hearing myself speak.
Yeah.
So when I watch these videos back, not only do I'm like, am I that white? Is Keith that white? Do we look that fuzzy in person? Like, I look at you now, and I'm like, yeah, it's Keith.
No.
You look totally normal. And then I see the camera, I'm like, what is happening? It just feels odd. Like, I don't know if that's actually what I look like to everybody, but I hope not. But either way, it's like, I've had to let go of a lot of that stuff and be like, don't even, like, that stuff will adjust, whatever. It's probably technical, or I just need to lose weight. But either way, it's like, that sort of thing where I'm like, it'll improve. And I think that being comfortable with like, this is a baseline, and then looking at it critically, not from like I hate me, and then being overly critical, but being like a legitimate like analysis and kind of analytical approach to this could be better, and here's why. You know, like at set design, like we were talking about, stuff like that I think is important to note. And I'm working on trying to be less directly like, ew, go away, it's repulsive, and more like, this could be better, and here's why I think that.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's still, like, I mean, there's probably stuff like that you could work on yourself, or like I could work on myself too. I think there's a lot of like pulling your own ego out of it and trying to look at it like, it's so hard to look at the things that you're doing and that you're creating and like take yourself out of the picture, but also be very hypercritical about it. As if it's like a third person, and it's not you. That's somebody else on character, or on screen. And so I think it's hard to pull your ego out of it for sure. There was a couple episodes where I felt like I had like a really deep or like a more like bassy voice, and I think part of that was after listening to it, I was like, okay, but if I listen to it more throughout the episode, I think my voice like warms up. And so like coming into an episode, I try to like talk during the day and try to warm up my voice a little bit more, and be a little bit less like, cool, there is something there, without being super hypercritical. I think there's benefit to that too.
That's interesting. I mean, your voice is just deeper than mine anyway, but I hadn't really considered that, like, I guess if we don't speak as much throughout the day.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I hadn't really thought about it. Because, we record these on Saturdays, too. Like, I don't talk a whole lot.
Exactly.
Like, throughout the work week, sure. Yeah, I'll talk to people all day. But, like, Saturday morning, like, I could probably go 2 hours and not say a word. And I just never thought about it. That's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if it helps or not. I haven't analyzed that deep. But that was a note that something in, like, today before we started recording. It was, like, as I'm working out, I'm, like, vocally talking to Thomas a lot. Where it's, like, I'm just trying to, like, warm my voice up a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm trying to just kind of get it to where maybe I'm not coming off cold, and you're not coming off that
Like just woke up,
voice.
kind of like been laying on my back for the last 8 hours. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, there's some critical things that you could probably come up with about yourself, but it is hard to your point to like take your ego out of it and try to think of it critically and not try to think of it as like, oh, I'm embarrassed seeing myself and I'm embarrassed hearing myself, and try to actually be very like objective about that criticism and
yeah, 100%. And I think it to your point, like it's way easier to be like portraying a character to some degree or other. Not that I've ever really done it, I suppose, but I mean, being like a character or being someone who's like not me, I think it's a lot easier to be like, yeah, okay, well, obviously I was acting as, a third person, and then viewing that back, even though it's like, yeah, that's me, but like how good of a job was I doing it, like pretending to be someone else? Basically, I think like how well did I portray or convey like this character's ideals? I think that's a very different thing from like sitting here and just being like, yeah, here's my personal opinion on something. It's actually very real to me, and then being like, wow, this fucking sucks. I'm like, okay, well, that was me. So I don't know. I feel like the filming in general is like, it's just a normal conversation you and I are having. This stuff we just talk about. But I think sometimes I remember, I'm like, oh yeah, no, this is like going to the internet. Like even if nobody does watch it, somebody could watch it, and like that just feels weird. I think that takes up like a portion of my brain space that I, even subconsciously, I'm like, oh yeah. So then like I act just a little different. I'm like, do I always act that way? And then I just get in that same loop of, but what if I'm acting dumb? But then I just have to like, who gives a shit? Just kind of move past it. I think I'm working on that. I'm getting there. But
the format that we're doing is definitely a little bit more challenging, I think, even to do exactly what you're talking about, of like trying to portray a character, but we're not really portraying characters. We're just sitting here talking.
We're just sitting here.
Before we started recording, we were having similar conversations. This is the same thing.
I'm just holding a camera or holding
but also, we have to like kind of portray something and like be something else, and it's a weird towing the line of, cool, is this me or is this the character that I'm portraying now that I know that I'm being filmed and now that I know that this is going to go online and somebody might watch this? And yeah, it's an interesting thing. There's a creator, JReg. I think I've shared some videos here and there.
It sounds kind of familiar.
He's very open about like he's like a post or like a hyper ironic YouTube creator, and so he will talk a lot about stuff like this where it's like his hyper ego and like how he goes on, and originally he was creating this character and that's what he was playing, but then as time goes on he becomes that character, and then he's like, now he's creating a character that created a character, and it's like this weird level of hyper ego almost of, cool, this is me, but this also isn't me, but this is very much me. And so I think with our like the format that we're creating, we aren't trying to act, we aren't trying to be something else, but we're doing that, and we're creating that like hyper ego, that internet personality almost.
Yeah, I mean, I think that to some degree, in the interest of entertainment, you have to be an elevated version of whatever. I mean, I think I'm a pretty funny guy, and I can definitely be kind of loud. But I think that to be entertaining, or when I am, even like in a private space or like hanging out with friends, like I just kind of like, I'm another couple notches higher than usual. Like I might have like a quip at work, but like I'm a professional at work. Like I'm like, funny joke, and then I'll move on. But like if I'm like hanging out with the boys or the squad, whoever the hell I may be hanging out with,
code switch a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's the way. Code switching, that's exactly what it is. But I think that, like there's just a certain level of like, when you're being entertaining for the sake of it, you kind of like crank that up. But I think it's much harder to do that like on demand when I'm just sitting here and it's like, I'm just going to make a joke for this little stationary piece of plastic staring back at me. Like it's just kind of, it's different. I can see why people like doing it for sure. Even like the attention gained or, fame or whatever the case notwithstanding, I think just analyzing that sort of thing, that code switching and kind of like just approaching that, like you said, the hyper ego or that elevated sense of like entertainment. I think that's pretty interesting just in its own right. Posting in general, like social media stuff in general, like it's hard for me to be like, is this worth it? Like, what am I doing? Yeah. Like I psych myself out before I post anything ever because I'm just like, who cares? Like, why would I ever do it? And as a result, like you're not doing that over time for like the last 10 plus years, there's no real public record of like my existence or anything that I like or do. And it's like, I think that's fine from a public sense, but I think even privately, like, I don't have like any pictures or anything. So it's like, if I died tomorrow, what would anybody have to remember me by? Like any of my family, it'd be like, yeah, remember that one time you did something? And that's about it. Like it wouldn't be like any pictures or any videos or anything to look back on. I think it's part of this too, is like a record, I suppose, of me to some degree.
I think it helps to break you out of your shell a little bit too. I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
It's something where I'm very similar to where I don't post on, I don't have an Instagram. I have a Facebook, but I don't use it anymore. I don't have a TikTok or any of that kind of stuff. And I think a lot of that is super normalized nowadays. Pretty much everybody, well, maybe not. Maybe everybody doesn't. But I feel like a lot of people have that kind of stuff. And they do the record keeping and stuff like that using that stuff. And once you're so used to it, it's just like, I'm just posting a TikTok. Like, it's just like yesterday whenever I posted a random TikTok or I posted a random Instagram photo and stuff. But as you're so disconnected from it, it's hard to jump back into it and be like, cool, now I have to learn what I'm doing. And you get very caught up in the thought of like, why am I doing this in the first place when I haven't been doing this ever?
I think additionally, treating it as to your point, maybe it's more like, for some people, it's like a sense of self, or more, maybe it is just literally like posting this for my family, or I'm posting this just because it's what I'm doing, and I had a camera in my hand. I just felt like, yeah, hey, look, I cleaned up my room. Check it out. You know, that sort of thing. I think that's one aspect of it. But I think maybe even like you and I are approaching it more from like a perspective of, if I do share anything, I want it to be entertaining. I want it to be like,
sure.
yeah, laugh at this, or engage with this, or be like, yeah, no, I agree. Here are my thoughts. And I'm like, oh shit, that's a good, I hadn't considered that. You know, prompt some discussion, or to actually like connect with people to some degree or other. And I think maybe that's like a minimal scope perspective, but I feel like that's at least where I'm approaching it more from, is like, not like, oh, I'm going to make so many friends when I do this, but just like, I don't know, maybe somebody will laugh at it, and that's enough for me. Like, it's kind of like what I like doing, is making people laugh. But I think in that regard, automatically, it's like there's a higher barrier to entry, because it's like, is this funny? Yeah. Do I even enjoy this? I don't know. And I think even with that, it's like some of the stuff that I do on a daily basis gets so normalized that I just don't really think about it being anything more than like just what I always do.
Yeah. Get stuck in that routine.
Yeah. And again, I think it's kind of like, even if somebody's like, wow, that's pretty funny, I'd be like, oh, it's just kind of what I do.
Yeah,
I didn't really think about it, you know?
Yeah, it just kind of came out. I don't know.
Like my costumes, or, you know, dumb shit I say or do sometimes. I don't know. I just kind of, it's the way I am, I suppose. But I think I just forget. Like, you don't have that like mirror, or that like that feedback loop, kind of like somebody giving you some insight or something, or some perspective, or some reflection of some sort. And it's like, it's really easy to just forget how much you've adjusted or changed, or what you're doing. So I don't know. I feel like I bounced off of too many different topics here, but still, you know what I'm saying?
I feel you. I'm there with you. All of it makes sense. I think it could be interesting, kind of taking us back on like what we do with the set, what we do with the podcast, and what we do with here going forward. It would be interesting kind of to see, maybe we start up a Discord or something like that, to where we can get more of that feedback, and we can get more of like sure. Okay, cool, like this is where people can see episodes coming out and stuff like that.
We'll get Brian in there. Brian, a number one fan.
Hey, Brian.
Love you, buddy. When are you going to be on here? Call me.
But yeah, no, it could be interesting to maybe open up more of those places, like a TikTok, and kind of try to explore more of those avenues. Just to see if we can get more feedback. And I mean, we can sit here and look at this stuff and try to put our ego aside and try to like be as objective as possible. But there's no better way to put our ego aside than let somebody who doesn't have our ego look at it and give us criticisms. And,
I agree. I think that there is also one concern that I have with that is just accepting too much feedback too immediately when we don't have a clear vision or sense of self. Sense of self being like in terms of like the product we're creating, like an identity for the thing that we're building. If they're like, well, I mean, this is cool, but what if like instead of two guys hanging out and there's a dog there, what if it were like two women and it was like at a coffee shop and there was like three cats? It's like, well, okay, that's maybe that would be entertaining to you, but like that's got nothing to do with anything that we're like. We could maybe make that happen, but that's not what we're doing. And it's just like that. Yeah, I mean that's obviously an exaggeration, but I feel like at the same time having like an identity that makes some sense, and I think we're still kind of fleshing that part out too.
Yeah,
figuring out like What do we want to do? Maybe narrative stuff would be kind of fun. What would it be like? Would it be comedic? Would it be like dramatic? Would it be, I don't know, eggs talking to each other about a murder? Stuff like that. Like I think that those ideas naturally form and they come over time. I think that's part of the fun of this. But at the same time, I guess it's always that question of like, all feedback is decent feedback, assuming it's reasonable, but how much of it's actionable? Like how much of it do you really want to apply?
Yeah.
And how do you balance that? I think it's interesting either way. I think it's a lot of fun just to think about, and maybe in reality it'll be fun. I guess we'll see when we get there. But at the moment, it's been very quiet, and I think it's fine too. I think it's important because it's like there's not a ton of pressure.
Yeah.
I mean, we're no Talk Tua.
Not yet.
Not yet. I mean, I'll
coming for you, Rogan.
I'll start tweeting about some Bitcoin if that's what we really want to do.
Yeah, I've seen some of that stuff.
Doge on that thing.
I feel like she's gone like mask off at this point, right? It's like
I have no
she's just
idea.
Hardcore crypto.
I think she's like 22. I feel like she probably, I don't know if it's a mask off so much as it is like a figuring it out sort of thing.
Maybe she's doing similar things of like figuring out exactly what that brand is and exactly what.
Yeah, I don't know if she's like super firm in all of her beliefs yet. I mean, her brain's not even fully formed. Like 25 years old, your frontal lobe finally is like, we're done. Fuck it. Time to start dying now.
Oh God, are we there?
We are there, yes.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
After like 25 or 26, like
it's just downhill, and
it's all downhill from there.
Maybe some stuff starts making sense a little bit. So still in denial for that.
We'll see. Either way, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting to see the differences between all these, like I said, like YouTube, TikTok. Everything is so different in terms of just the audience and stuff in general. Like the videos I'd mentioned before, my sister posted, but like I still have never posted a TikTok. I don't even know what the hell I'd post. I have an account now, which I made just to like respond to comments and whatever, and that was fun. It's still fun. Like she posted the Tomb Raider outfit, and then she posted a video with the last year with the Rey the Firefly costume. Somebody commented, they said cute but too many teeth. Which was obviously, I think they were referring to like the fact that Rey the Firefly in the movie has like 4 teeth, and I have 32. I got my wisdom teeth. But either way, they were like cute but too many teeth. So then my sister read that comment and she laughed her ass off. So she recorded, because she was dying. So she recorded the conversation as she was trying to explain to me what the comment was. And she posted that this year for whatever reason, and that also kind of blew up. It's got like almost 4 million views now or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, and the original video. So she reposted. I'll just throw through the timeline, I guess. She reposted the original video like a couple of weeks ago, and that got like 2 million views on its own. The repost. The original one has like almost 11 million. At this point, maybe 10.3.
That's just crazy.
Yeah, so it's like total, it's like 12 million views or something like that for that stupid costume. And then this year she posted the Tomb Raider thing, which didn't do nearly as well, which whatever. And then the video of her laughing her ass off about the cute but too many teeth comment, and it was just like that also got pretty big. So it's like, but I don't understand why people were so enamored with it's just a goofy costume. Like I've always done stuff like that, so it just seems so normal to me. But I guess people enjoyed it, which is great. And a lot of people like it. I think that there was like content guideline stuff because they had like the guns in the Tomb Raider video.
Yeah, maybe.
So I think that because she said that when she posted, she was like, "Oh, it was blocked or something for like content." So it had to be like reviewed before it could actually post. I was like, I'm sure that probably killed it like analytically. I think it still has like over 200,000 views, which is insane. Yeah, it's a lot. It's like it's unreal because we got like what 6 views or something like that in like a week. It's like crazy, but it's like it's insane to me to think like why? Like I don't get it. I think because I want to dismantle the idea of like what is it that is so entertaining and engaging about this? Like I don't fully understand it. Not even just to recreate it, but just to get like what do people enjoy about this? So I love doing it. Obviously, and like I enjoy being funny, I enjoy the goofy costumes, I enjoy making it happen and kind of just throwing all this stuff together. I do it for me, not for other people, and maybe that's the charm in it too. It's like I've had a few people message me or a comment, and they're like, "Man, you guys should do more stuff," and I'm like, I don't know what we do, honestly. Like you're looking at so many like tiny, minuscule little snippets, little vignettes of like, oh yeah, I dressed up and then I rolled around on the floor and climbed on a pillar in my house. Just kind of did like some silly goofy stuff because it was on brand for the character, and it was just kind of a fun thing to do. And it's like, I don't want to do that all the time. I don't really understand. I don't know. It's just weird, I guess, to be so performative and like what to expect out of it. I think it's easy when there's nothing to expect, but when it like takes off and it's like, but why did it? Like, I don't get it.
You're trying to like analyze exactly like what are people watching for? Like what attracts the viewers to that specific video? Versus
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, oh, we just recorded it just to have fun. We weren't thinking about, oh, let's figure out viewers or anything like that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like I don't want it to become a situation necessarily where it's like, now we have to really buckle down and figure out what is it that worked and then harness that. Like, that just feels to me like you kind of lost the plot. Like, it's fun and I enjoy doing it, and that's all it needs to be. And if people like it, fantastic. And if they don't like it, fantastic. They don't have to look at it, and that's fine. Like, I'm not trying to force this on anyone. I'm not trying to like cater to like a broad group or a broad audience. And I think that's the point where I enjoy it, and that's, as a hobby, I think that's what I want to keep. But what do you think? What are your thoughts? You've never seen the videos,
I wish,
but I mean, like,
well, see, I saw the original Halloween video with the 11 million views and now 4 million on the repost, which is crazy. That I think the most interesting thing to me is that, like, you said that she reposted it and it just like instantly blew up again. And my thought is like, was that like just the fact that TikTok knew it was a repost and originally it was still a popular video? I don't know.
I feel like it has to be, right? Like, I mean, so much of it's just out of our control, in the sense that it's like, if the algorithm picks it up, I mean, it's like if it's not exposed to a bunch of people, then it's never going to be exposed to a bunch of people. Hard stop.
I'd be interested. There's like a follower thing, right? Like, you could probably follow certain people and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
How many followers does your sister have? Is it like a crazy high number of followers? And
no, well, I'm
like,
honestly,
does it correlate with the 10 million views or
not necessarily? I wouldn't say. I mean, I think she had like under 1,000 a year ago. Like, before she posted that, she had under 1,000, and then I think she had like 2,200 or something like that before this year, and then Halloween this year, everything kind of blew up again. Now she's at like 4,400 or something, which is not a whole lot. But I mean, like, again, considering that like the only videos of hers that have really gone big are like videos that she posted around this time last year, and then again this time this year, and she's not making stuff that's like big entertaining content or anything that's really relevant. Like, on occasion, she'll just make a post about me, and it seems like those are the ones that kind of blow up. Not all of them, but like on occasion, and that's kind of what it is. And I think it's just because like we're goofy together, and like when she's recording something, it's because I've been doing some like dumb bit or a character or something like silly for forever. If like for a few minutes, she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna record this," I'm like, whatever, like, it's fine. I'm just kind of being me. I think that's the only thing that's really taken off, but it's not like her entire page is like that. Like, her page is a bunch of just random shit that she posts, and it's like her dogs and stuff like that. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting to kind of think about. Is it like more? It sounds almost like it's like you behind the camera and like you being that character or whatever you're portraying, or is it like her noticing and having an eye for the content and being like, oh, this is going to be something funny, let me record this and post this. But then you talk about, well, it doesn't seem like all of her other stuff blows up as much. So is it a combination of the two? Is it, I guess, what are her goals is also something interesting to think about.
Yeah, I don't know.
Is she taking a video because she thinks it's funny? Is she taking a video because she thinks it'll be a good viewed video, or what? We need to get your sister on and interview her.
We can ask her. Yeah,
and,
true. That's a good point. We could ask her about it. That'd
be like,
honestly
hey,
wouldn't be
what's
bad.
your opinions on TikTok? Because obviously we don't have a whole lot of info on it. I'm more familiar with like YouTube and stuff like that, which our video hasn't really, or our channel hasn't blown up or anything. But like, I have ideas on like, oh, we need to upgrade, do better on thumbnails and do better on titles and stuff like that.
Metadata.
I don't
and stuff
know
like that.
exactly what it is about TikTok. I don't think can you even customize a thumbnail? Like, I think it just auto generates would be my assumption.
I've
but
never uploaded the
maybe
video. I don't know, to be honest.
I don't know anything about TikTok and how the uploading process works. So
I don't know.
it would be interesting to see and like pick her brain, I guess, and see what she thinks about some of this stuff. Because I think she probably has a pretty good insight.
Yeah, I'll ask her about it. Maybe I'm sure she'd be happy to be on at some point. We could definitely talk to her about it.
I mean, even if she's not on, it might be interesting just to ask her and get
See
some
what she
closure
says.
on your side and
Yeah, no, for
have
sure.
more information.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting. She's had a lot of fun with it. I know. I talked to her multiple times per week. Anyway, we always work out together. So even if we're like busy, we always make time to like in the evenings, at least 3 days a week, we'll go and work out. And we don't always talk about TikTok or whatever. So we just kind of chit chat about life. It doesn't matter. But I'll have to ask her about it for sure. I think that's interesting because I really hadn't. I guess until we started doing this, I didn't really think too much about all of that. I just assumed when she posted that video, I was like, whatever, it's just another goofy costume. Which again, like it's the same thing I've done for like 15 years. And then she was like, this is getting a lot of attention. And I was like, whatever. And then the next day she was like, this is like a ton of attention. And I was like, okay. And then 2 days later, she's like, no, like seriously, this is ridiculous. And I was like, okay. And then finally I made an account and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, I think you even mentioned like we have a mutual that we both know that reached out and was like, I just happened to see the video of you. And like,
multiple people, like people like that I haven't spoken to in like a decade, like the old friends from high school and just people in general. They're like, hey man, I saw that video. Just I don't know. I know this guy. A couple people have reached out. A couple people have commented. But yeah, sometimes she's like, do you know this person? I was like, oh yeah, I went to school with them. And they're like, yeah, they posted here. And they were like, they know you. And I was like, that's super interesting. It's so weird. But I mean, it's cool. It's a ton of fun. I mean, it really is. I think at the end of the day, like I do enjoy it. It's interesting, but it's such a different world that I'm just not used to. How do you do that? Like in a new city? And she's like, I've been using Bumble BFF. And I was like, oh. Well, that actually makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
I mean, just like a friend finder, like a matchup friend finder. Like, yeah, that's awesome,
yeah.
actually. That makes so much sense. And I think, I don't know, I see a lot of social media in the same way. Like, I don't see this as like this is a great business opportunity. It's just like, it's a fun thing to do. Hang out with my friend Keith, maybe make some new friends, maybe not, maybe make some enemies. I don't know.
Yeah, see, I struggle to consider YouTube social media. Although it 100% is. It's just like for me, I grew up like watching old YouTube and like, so for me it was more just like, oh, this is a cool outlet to like play around with video editing and play around with like content creation and that kind of stuff. But it is definitely like a social media apparatus. And it's like, if you can be social, I've heard there's like a YouTube community tab or something that we probably need to look into. But I've heard like the YouTube like community section is like really popular and like actually being more social and using it more as like a raw social media. I don't like comment on videos. I'm like a lurker whenever it comes to all that stuff. So
same.
It is interesting getting into people's heads and being like, who would comment on this? But I think a lot of people.
No, they do. But I think, I see, to your point, I agree with you. I think I see YouTube as social media in the same way I see Reddit as social media. Like I see the two as like social media in the same sense as like it's pretty much anonymous. Like I'm not gonna post on like my personal like it's got my picture and it's got my name like YouTube account and be like, dear Markiplier, this is the greatest thing that I've ever seen in my life. Like it just kind of like, exposing that sort of thing to me just feels really weird. But it maybe if I were like posting in like a private Facebook group or like a Discord and I'd be like, yo, that latest Markiplier video is pretty dope. I love the Northern Line videos and like I'll share them for my friends. Like reposting that sort of content in like a private, like a much smaller section where it's like, yeah, this is, it's me and we're in like this group together. That makes a little more sense to me. But I agree with you. Like I don't really see it the same way on YouTube, but it kind of is.
Yeah, it kind of is. And I think a lot of it is, or at least like the people who are more successful with like taking off and getting that social presence, they don't portray themselves as like, oh, hey, this is me and I'm like kind of advertising my podcast, but also I'm here to answer this question. It's more they're using it 100% social and they do just see it as like, this is more just like social media. I'm just posting to post and I'm posting to comment because I don't know. I see this as more, not necessarily like a small private like community or something, but like this is the community and this is just where to post that kind of stuff. So it's a different mindset and it's something that I've been trying to wrap my head around as well of like, cool, like why would I comment on this or like why should I comment on this and who cares about what I'm commenting and stuff like that. But also it's just like, well, I'm commenting because it's on the top of my head and I just want to put what's on my head somewhere. I just want to write it out somewhere and this allows me to write it somewhere. So
no, you're right. I think that there's, I watch too much Northern Lion, stuff anyway. But he said the other day when he watches Twitch to be entertained, not to hang out. And like anytime, like his approach to all of like the like he's been a Twitch streamer since it was Justin TV, but like he had like the Northern Lion Live Super Show, the NLSS was a thing that he ran for a long time, and it was just like specific. It's like a 3-hour block, segmented where you'd like, cool, hour 1 we're playing this game, hour 2 we're playing this game, hour 3 we're playing this game, and then we're done. And I'll see you tomorrow, and we'll do the same 3-hour block at the same time period. But like he said that he segmented it that way because he's not just sitting for 8, 9, 10 hours being like, hey guys, what are we doing today? And then just like meandering about. He wanted to keep it tight. He wanted it to be entertaining, and he wanted it to keep that energy up. And you can't do that for 10 hours straight.
Yeah.
And it's like it's a character to a degree, but it also helps to provide that separation of like, yeah, I'm gonna pop in 4 or 5 days a week. I'll be here for 3 hours. And then, he would like record YouTube videos or whatever else in addition to that. But like, I think keeping that segmented reality, making it kind of like a 9 to 5, but like in a very different way where it's like your job is entertainment. Your job is not parasocial, hanging out with people that you've never met that are commenting on things. And it's such a completely different perspective, I think, there than like people pop on Twitch to hang out. But I'm much more in the camp as well of like, I watch YouTube to be entertained, or I watch this to be entertained, which doesn't mean it has to be scripted, but I do look for a certain level of like entertainment and energy that's kind of like consistent throughout, and not like an Atrioc video or something would be like much more like, hey, I'm gonna spit for a minute, half an hour roughly. It's pretty lengthy, but like he keeps it's energetic where he's like, we're gonna review Olympic ads. And then it's like we watch part of the Olympic ads, cool. And then he talks about it. Like that's a show in the same way that like I'm referring to like the NLSS sort of thing, versus like a Hassan or the big World of Warcraft guy whose name escapes me at the moment. Asmongold, yeah. Where it's like much more chill, hanging out, and that's fine. There's definitely a place for that, and I think it's super important still. But like it's not as much my preferred. I'd much go like the Atrioc, Northern Lion. It's entertaining. It's energetic. There's a purpose to it. I think kind of route.
I think one interesting thing is yes, there is kind of a separation between those, but also it seems like nowadays with the abilities that you have on Twitch you're going into this person and they might have a complete broadcast planned out and they have this is what we're doing. Mm. It still like falls in a little bit on that parasocial part, and it allows the people who are parasocial, they're there to hang out, and then they're like hanging out during a broadcast type thing.
Absolutely.
There's like even I don't know if you follow a lot of like esports and stuff, a lot of the like Valorant esports and with like League of Legends and stuff right now, at least viewer wise, it's starting to shift away from people watching like the main broadcast. And like on League of Legends, people are just watching Kadril, and on Valorant, people are watching like Taric. And they are going through and just doing streams where they're watching it and they're doing their kind of commentary on it. And that's what's popping off, is because people have this like, they're allowing to get into a community while also being in that like entertainment. This is 100% the content is there for entertainment, but then they're throwing that community right on top of it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I think that merge of the two is definitely a weird spot, especially whenever like you said, and I think I definitely resonate, where it's like I'm more going in to watch YouTube for entertainment, or I'm going in to watch Twitch for entertainment and stuff like that. I'm going there just to watch that broadcast and see what happens at that broadcast. But the benefit of having the community and stuff like that is what's kind of, I think, blowing a lot of this like stuff up compared to normal like media, I guess. I think even the NFL now has like a Manning Monday or something like that,
really?
Where it's like Peyton Manning.
Interesting.
It's like I heard you get a Manning pass or something, and like you pay extra so that you can hear Peyton Manning watch the football game instead of just watching the football game. And then you like hear him commentating over it, and it's like it's this extra layer of like parasocial that goes on top of it that is definitely like a shift away from kind of older content where it's like, yeah, I'm just sitting here watching a TV and like, yeah, I might watch this show with my family and we're all like, new Survivor's coming out, we're all going to come over and watch it live. Mm-hmm. And you have that social aspect. It is now a parasocial aspect where you're all sitting together in Twitch chat and you have that community to talk about. Like,
I think that, yeah, I mean, the community for sure, that makes sense, where it's like, if like, I know that a bunch of my friends or even like some of the funny people I've seen around are like fans of Peyton Manning or whatever, insert streamer name here or whatever. Like that's the connecting source where you're like, I understand kind of how the community is moderated. I understand how like who the people are, and I vibe with a lot of that stuff. And I think it's more in that sense about the overall community and less about like, oh, if I message here, then I'm definitely gonna get Peyton Manning's opinion on whatever. Like I think that's the part where it's like, that part's kind of odd. I'm like, realistically, Mr. Manning is probably far too busy managing everything to like look at your comment and be like, oh, here's what I think. You know, it's like, maybe, well, I don't know, that'd be kind of cool. But like, I think that the difference there still is, if I watch a Twitch stream, which I don't personally really watch Twitch all that much, but like if I do, I'm not really watching the chat. I'm more watching like whatever's happening. Yeah, the game or whatever. I think that's kind of the difference there. It's like the community's a huge part of it, for sure, for a lot of people. But like, I don't really, in the same way you said, like I don't really comment on stuff. I don't really chime in on chat very often. Like, I could make a joke or maybe I'll think of a quip or something, but I'm like, I don't really feel like posting it. I don't care.
Right.
Whatever. Like, there's some funny people on there, and you can read that and be like, haha, that's great. But like, I would rather just kind of lurk, kind of like you said.
Yeah.
Like, so I feel like that connection, that community aspect is not, it's not lost on me. Like, I definitely understand the value in it, and I enjoy it, but it's not so much the draw for me inherently, I suppose.
Well, now that we've lost like most of our viewers towards the end of the episode, let's
Yeah.
Not
Brian though.
Let's
maybe
Brian's probably.
Even if we did lose Brian, it's okay. I still respect you and I appreciate you.
No, but let's kind of swap it back to like what's been new with gaming segment, I guess.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
What have you been doing this week on
year?
gaming? Yeah.
This week on gaming, what have we done?
What
have you done? Anything new? What have you been playing? Still RuneScape?
Same thing. Still RuneScape. Played a little Overwatch and stuff like that. I want to get more into Overwatch. There's I assume you know about the Battle Pass a little bit.
Yeah.
On the current Battle Pass at level 175 out of 200.
Good God.
There's a Discord kitten title that I want. It's like you're the kitten of Discord.
That's so gross.
I want the title so bad
because
it's so cringy
that's
and weird.
awful.
But it's like, why did they add
it?
it?
Zenyatta thing?
Yeah, that's it's supposed to be like a reference to Zenyatta. It's like, yeah, you're the kitten of Discord.
Gross, but
and
I
so
love it.
like, I need to get into Overwatch way more so that I can grind out those Battle Pass levels.
That's hilarious.
So that's
Discord
something where
kitten.
the last couple days I'm like, fuck, I really need to be playing a little more Overwatch, but
let's do it. I want to fire it up. I was thinking about it the other day. I haven't sat down on my computer to play for a while, but I mean, I played a little bit, but like I've been playing like single player stuff because I have like, you know, I'll get up after 20 minutes of playing and be like, I'm gonna go do something else for a little bit, which is not conducive to a multiplayer game. So
yeah, no, I've been playing a lot of Overwatch with Brian, actually. Speaking of, time number 3 there on mention, the Brian episode almost. But
the Brian episode's coming. Whenever we get him on.
Yeah, for sure. And whenever you're
He's
ready,
a dad.
Brian.
He's a busy man.
Yeah, I've been playing a little old school, getting drops here and there. Nothing really changing too much there. I feel like we could talk about the same things. But what about you? What? Anything?
I haven't played too much. I picked up Vampire Survivors the other day. I think I can't remember if I mentioned that or not.
First time playing?
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, it's fine. It's okay. I mean, I can see why it's fun. I feel like it's more of like a handheld kind of like a Steam Deck sort of game.
I could see that.
Kind of like I'm just kind of mindlessly meandering about, running in circles while I'm doing something else, or I don't know, just hanging out for a little bit. Long car ride. I don't know, plane ride. I've been playing. I picked up Kingdom Hearts 3 again. I downloaded it again because I played it when it first. I was so hyped. I love Kingdom Hearts. I love it. I think I've played every game actually.
How many are there? There's only 3. Is there more?
No. That's a whole rabbit hole.
Okay.
Kingdom Hearts 1, 2, and 3 are the main titles, but there are total. I think there's like over 10.
Oh, really? Damn.
Because they went like Kingdom Hearts 1, and they did the game.
Well,
called
they had
Chain
some
of
that were
Memories.
like combinations, whereas like 2.5 is like technically 2 and 3 or something like that. Or did they have like some of those?
Like, it includes several because they had 1, then like Chain of Memories, which is a GBA game that links between 1 and 2.
Okay.
And that was kind of like, okay, that's an interesting choice, I guess. Whatever. And then 2 came out. I don't remember the full timeline, but like 2 came out, and there were like 2 games on the DS. There's like 2 mobile game tie-ins. There's like there are a ton. The lore gets. It's not even that, like, I think for a long time the joke was that the lore was like impossible to follow because it was. But like those collections you're talking about, like the 2.5, the whatever, those helped a lot because they included either videos of like the cutscenes from the games, or they included like the actual full games themselves.
Okay.
So you could play through like some of the other games that were not otherwise included on like main consoles. And that helped a ton because then you could be like, okay, cool. Now I can actually follow the narrative throughput here. It's not like I went from 1 to 2. What the hell happened? Like I played 1, and then we beat the bad guy, and then in the beginning of 2, this dude woke up in an egg. What the fuck happened? Like, oh, you have to play Chain of Memories. You know the egg. I was like, okay. And then from 2 to 3, which was like a fucking 12-year gap or something, it's like, good luck figuring out what the hell happened in those 18 games. Like, it's just dumb. But either way, I played 3, and it was, I think initially when I played it, I hadn't played any of the other, like I played Chain of Memories a little bit. I didn't love it. But I played 1 and 2, and I hadn't played any of the other games at that time, and I played 3, and I was like, what the fuck is happening? Because they added, like, my dude can run up walls now, and he, like, spins on, like, columns, and there are all kinds of abilities there, and, like, they changed so much stuff. But, like, he as, like, a character, like, he went from, like, a little Padawan Jedi to, like, a freaking Jedi Master, and now it's like, yeah, well, we're not going to make him a weakling again. He's just a badass now. And it's like, okay, cool, that's nice. I missed all of that. so I just jumped in. I was like, what is happening? And then it was fun, but like I just kind of didn't vibe with it super well. So then I put it down and I haven't finished it, but I picked it up again. It was on sale recently on PC. It finally came out on Steam, so I was like, yeah, I'll guess I'll get it again. And I played through 1 and 2 and I loved them because those games are so good. And I was like, I'll play 3 again. So I started that and I haven't made it very far, but so far I am enjoying it more because I have so much more context for everything. It's like come up to this point and his abilities and stuff. I've just like you use them in the other games. So now I'm like, okay, I pretty much know how to like bounce around on the walls and do all the weird wacky stuff that like you didn't do in 2. I get it now. So it's been okay, but I don't know. I haven't played much though. I played that for maybe a couple of hours and I really haven't played very many video games. I would like to get through the Yakuza. I need to finish 5. I haven't finished 5 yet. Or 6. I haven't finished 6 yet. I finished 1 through 5. 0 through 5 actually. Those games are incredible. 6 was good. I think I'd burned myself out on Yakuza because I played so much of it and they're so long. So I haven't finished 6 yet, but I finished Like a Dragon 1 and I'm trying to play through the newest one whose name I forget. And there's another game that was like the man with that I can't remember. The man who lost his name or something. I don't know. But it's like it's like the story between 6 and Like a Dragon. For the main character in like 0 through 6 was a guy named Kiryu, and then his whole story ends, and then in Like a Dragon, which is like technically Yakuza 7, it's like a brand new character.
Okay.
So and it's like what the hell happened, and then you kind of get that game came out after Like a Dragon, and it was like here's what happened. But I just haven't played that one yet. But either way, games are great. I love them.
Yeah,
and they're super fun.
They're fun.
Maybe I will hop on some Overwatch though. It does sound like fun. I enjoy it.
Whenever you're ready. You're definitely more on the single player player game hype, but
yeah.
I'm multiplayer all day. So.
Well, you say that, but like, when was the last time you played RuneScape with like other people that you weren't required to?
True, I play. Well, that's a single player MMO, so
that is true.
I mean,
that's
fair. I'll give you that. That is a weird.
I guess if your group was more involved, you'd probably do a lot more.
Oh yeah.
So fair enough. Maybe it's an unfair.
I'm trying to push them through and like, all right.
Are they playing again?
I mean, we have a couple people still playing, and so like it's a group of 5 people, and so one of our other members, he's on pretty often, and I try to feed him supplies and help him out, like kind of try to boost him through as quick as possible. And then another group member, I think his membership just ran out, and so we'll see whenever he re-ups his membership. I'm sure he'll get back on, but he pops on every once in a while and does some AFK grinding and stuff like that, and hopefully the other 2 at some point will start playing. But
how much is an RS membership now? It's $10 a month.
Bro, it's too much. I think it's somewhere around that. I think it's like $100 for a year. I think $10 a month now. They recently upped the price because it used to be, I think, $80 a year, and then they bumped it up to $100.
Wow.
Luckily, we're not at. I don't know what a WoW subscription is per year, but we're getting there for sure.
Is it not 15 anymore?
Well, it is 15 a month, but I think if you buy a year subscription, it might be $10 a month at that point.
Okay.
I think it might be like 120 for a year.
Yeah, that sounds right. Actually, I think I remember. Yeah, you said that.
So yeah, I mean it's getting up there. I mean, there's a lot of content in RuneScape for sure, but it does suck that it's like, yeah, they're upgrading this. It used to be $5 a year, and then that was it. And
$5 a month
or $5 a month. Yeah, I'm hoping that it stays at $100 a year at this point. They got a lot of backlash for increasing their price this last time. So
yeah, I mean, I can't imagine it's getting any cheaper to maintain, but either way, I mean, that's cool.
Good little episode. We'll throw it all together. And yeah, I guess we'll see y'all next week.
Yeah. Bye everybody. Thank you, Brian.
Bye.
And everyone else, of course. Mostly Brian.
But mainly Brian.